A house of whispers, a place where the past lingers in every shadow and the air is thick with untold stories. This house, with its grand Victorian architecture, once stood as a symbol of elegance and prosperity. But now, it is a mere shell of its former self, a haunting reminder of what once was. The house stood at the end of the road, a solitary figure against the backdrop of a desolate landscape. It was as if the world had moved on, leaving this house behind to fend for itself. The road leading to it was overgrown with weeds, and the trees on either side seemed to bow in reverence to the house's eerie presence. Isolated, forgotten, reclaimed by nature, the house had become one with its surroundings as if it had always been a part of the forest. The vines that crept up its walls were like veins, pulsing with the life that had long since abandoned the house. It was a place where time stood still, and the past and present coexisted in a delicate balance. Vines clung to its rotting wood like skeletal fingers. They seemed to reach out, as if trying to pull the house back into the earth from which it had sprung. The wood, once strong and sturdy, was now brittle and decayed, a testament to the relentless passage of time. The house was a living, breathing entity, its every creak and groan a whisper of its former glory. Windows, once bright eyes, were now boarded shut. Blind, they had seen so much, witnessed the rise and fall of the house's fortunes. Now they were closed off to the world, hiding the secrets that lay within. The boards were like eyelids, heavy with the weight of the past, refusing to open and let the light in. It was a house that whispered. Its voice was soft, almost imperceptible, but it was there, a constant presence in the background. The whispers were like a lullaby, soothing and unsettling at the same time. They spoke of love and loss, of joy and sorrow, of life and death. The house was a repository of memories, each one more poignant than the last, a house that held its secrets close. Locals told tales, stories of tragedy, of madness. They spoke in hushed tones as if afraid that the house might hear them. The stories were passed down from generation to generation, each one adding a new layer to the house's mystique. Some said it was cursed, others believed it was haunted, but no one knew for sure. The truth was as elusive as the whispers themselves, of something dark that lingered within its walls. The interior of the house was a labyrinth of shadows, each corner hiding a secret. The air was thick with the scent of decay, and the floorboards creaked underfoot, as if protesting the intrusion. It was a place where the past was ever present, a constant reminder of the house's tragic history. I was here to find the truth, to uncover the secrets that the house had guarded so jealously. As I stepped through the threshold, I felt a chill run down my spine. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, as if urging me to turn back, but I was determined. I would not leave until I had uncovered the house's darkest secrets. The journey ahead was fraught with danger, but I was ready. The House of Whispers had called to me, and I had answered. The air grows heavy. The front door creaked open, a mournful groan echoing in the silence. Dust motes danced in the slivers of light that pierced the gloom. The air was thick, heavy with the weight of neglect and the residue of forgotten memories. Each footstep felt like a violation, a trespass into a sacred space, or perhaps a profane one. I could feel it watching me. A presence unseen. Into the abyss. The basement door was a maw, a jagged opening into the heart of the house. The steps groaned in protest as I descended, each footfall sending shivers up my spine. The air grew colder, damper. The darkness felt alive, a living, breathing entity. Basements. Why are they always basements? Perhaps because they are the closest we come to the underworld, places where shadows dance and secrets are buried. Scars of the past. They linger, etched into the very fabric of our surroundings, whispering tales of yesteryears. These scars are not just physical marks, they are memories, emotions, and energies that have seeped into the walls, the floors, and the very air we breathe. The stone walls of the basement were cold, damp, rough to the touch. Each stone seemed to hold a story, a fragment of a time long gone. The moisture that clung to the surface was like the tears of the past, forever weeping for what once was. They seemed to absorb the light, leaving only an oppressive darkness. It was as if the walls themselves were alive, breathing in the light and exhaling shadows. The stone tape theory suggests that these walls have witnessed countless events, both mundane and extraordinary, and have absorbed the energy of those moments. It whispered in the back of my mind, the idea that traumatic events can scar a place, leaving behind an echo of the past. This echo is not always audible, but it can be felt, a subtle vibration that resonates with the soul. The idea that traumatic events can scar a place, leaving behind an echo of the past. These echoes are like ghostly imprints, shadows of emotions that once were. They linger in the corners, in the crevices, waiting to be discovered by those sensitive enough to feel them. An imprint on the very fabric of the building. These imprints are not always visible to the naked eye, but they are there, nonetheless. They are the silent witnesses to history, the keepers of secrets long forgotten, like a recording etched into stone waiting to be played back. Each mark, each crack, each shadow is a part of a larger story, a narrative that spans generations. These walls have seen joy and sorrow, love and loss, and they hold these memories within their cold, unyielding embrace. Imagine a family, long gone, who once lived within these walls. Their laughter, their tears, their hopes, and their fears are all embedded in the very stones that now stand silent. The walls remember, even if we do not. As I run my fingers over the rough surface, I can almost feel the pulse of the past. It's a connection, a bridge between then and now. The stone is cold, but it is alive with the energy of those who came before. The flickering candlelight casts dancing shadows on the wall, bringing the past to life for just a moment. In the wavering light, the scars of the past become visible, telling their silent stories to those who are willing to listen. In the quiet of the basement, with only the sound of my own breathing, I can almost hear the whispers of the past. They speak of times long gone, of lives lived and lost, of moments that have shaped the present. Just like an old dusty book on a shelf, these walls hold stories waiting to be read. Each page, each chapter, is a piece of history, a glimpse into a world that once was. As I sit here deep in thought, I can't help but wonder about the lives that have touched this place. What stories would they tell if they could speak? What lessons could we learn from their experiences? Time may have moved on, but the past is never truly gone. It is frozen in these walls, in these scars, waiting for someone to uncover its secrets. Sometimes, if you look closely enough, you can see the faint, ghostly images of the past. They are like shadows, barely there, but unmistakable. They are the echoes of lives once lived, of moments that have left an indelible mark on this place. As I leave the basement, I carry with me the weight of these stories, these scars of the past. They are a reminder that we are all connected, that our lives are intertwined with those who came before us. The past is never truly gone. It lives on in the places we inhabit, in the scars that remain. Echoes of a massacre. The Villisca Axe murder house, a chilling example. In 1912, an entire family was brutally murdered in their beds. The killer was never caught. To this day, visitors report strange occurrences, cold spots, disembodied whispers, shadows moving in the periphery. Is it the residue of that horrific night, replaying itself over and over, trapped within the stone walls? When the dead won't rest. This is a tale of a house that time forgot, a place where the past lingers and refuses to let go. The house stood at the edge of town, shrouded in mystery and whispered legends. Locals spoke of strange occurrences, of shadows that moved on their own and voices that echoed through the halls. It was a place that drew the curious and the brave, but few ever returned with their sanity intact. A floorboard creaked behind me. The sound was sharp, cutting through the oppressive silence like a knife. I had been warned about this place, told to stay away, but something had drawn me here, an inexplicable pull that I couldn't resist. The air was thick with dust and the scent of decay. Each step I took seemed to disturb the very fabric of the house. I spun around, heart pounding in my chest. Nothing. The room was empty, but the feeling of being watched was overwhelming. My breath came in short, ragged gasps as I tried to steady myself. The shadows seemed to dance at the edge of my vision, taunting me, daring me to look closer. I could feel the weight of the house pressing down on me, a heavy, suffocating presence that made it hard to think. But the air felt different now. It was as if the house itself was alive, breathing, watching. The temperature dropped suddenly, and a chill ran down my spine. I could see my breath in the air, each exhale a ghostly plume that hung in the stillness. The fog seemed to thicken, wrapping around me like a shroud, obscuring my vision and heightening my senses. Charged with an unseen energy, it was a feeling that was hard to describe, a tingling sensation that prickled my skin and made the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. It was as if the very air was alive with electricity, buzzing and crackling with a life of its own. I reached out a hand, half expecting to feel something solid, but there was nothing there, just the empty, oppressive air. Or was it my imagination? Objects began to move. At first it was subtle, a slight shift, a gentle sway, but then it became more pronounced, more deliberate. Books slid off shelves, chairs scraped across the floor, and the sound of footsteps echoed through the halls. It was as if the house was trying to communicate, to tell me something, but the message was lost in the chaos. A rocking chair swayed gently, as if pushed by an invisible hand. The sight was both mesmerizing and terrifying. I watched, transfixed, as the chair moved back and forth in a slow, rhythmic motion. It was a scene straight out of a nightmare, and I couldn't look away. The creaking of the chair was the only sound in the room, a haunting melody that seemed to echo through the very walls. A door slammed shut, the sound echoing through the empty house. The noise was deafening, a sharp, sudden crack that made me jump. I turned towards the source, but there was nothing there, just an empty hallway stretching out into the darkness. The door had closed on its own, and the realization sent a fresh wave of fear coursing through me. I was not alone in this house, and whatever was here with me was not friendly. Whispers slithered through the darkness, too faint to decipher, but heavy with malice. They seemed to come from all around me, a chorus of voices that spoke in hushed, urgent tones. I strained to hear, to understand, but the words were just out of reach, tantalizingly close but forever elusive. The shadows seemed to move in time with the whispers, shifting and changing, creating shapes that danced at the edge of my vision. I could feel the malevolence in the air, a palpable sense of dread that made my skin crawl. The house was alive, and it was angry. Face to face with horror. Then I saw it. A figure standing at the far end of the basement, tall, gaunt, its features shrouded in shadow. It didn't move, it just stood there watching me. The air grew frigid, my breath catching in my throat. Terror, primal and consuming, seized me. This was not a game, this was not a trick of the light, this was something else, something evil. "Dare you enter?" I ran, up the stairs, out of the house, into the blessed sunlight. The image of that figure burned into my mind. I left that house a changed man, haunted by what I had seen, what I had felt. The stone tape theory. Is it real? Are some places forever marked by the horrors they have witnessed? Would you dare to find out?